Hello there, Atheist Junior here, your friend and humble narrator. And today I'm doing another collaboration with Horazio. And Horazio, you actually reached out to me about covering this video. So what was it about? Because Ken Ovind's done a lot of videos about why the Earth is young. What made you want to do another collaboration about this specific video?
I guess it was the thing that he said, like, I have been updating my material and I have some new arguments. And then when I heard them, I was like, dude, stick to your old shit. This is even dumber. So I thought it was fun. And we have been talking about collaborating again. So I thought it was a great opportunity.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm happy to do another collaboration with you. I don't know if you saw it yesterday, but we did a video with me and Grayson and Mark Reed again. That was a lot of fun. It's always fun collaborating with those guys, and maybe you could join us one time. That would be a good panel, I think.
Yeah, that would be great. And the thing is, sometimes when you stream, I'm at work. I can make it on Fridays because I leave work earlier. So if it could be a Friday like this time would be great. I would be honored to talk to Mark and Grayson. I really enjoy their views.
Awesome. Well, let's get started. So we're gonna show the beginning of the video just to introduce what Kent is talking about and comment on this really dumb analogy that he makes, that he's been making for 20 years. So it's not an updated argument. It's not a new argument of his. And then we're gonna skip ahead a little bit because we don't need to listen to Kent talk about the Bible. Nobody wants to hear that.
Not anymore.
Slide number 227 and see if this works. Okay. How old is the Earth? Without question, the biggest thing the atheists must have for their theory to look reasonable is time. Millions of years. Sprinkle some time on it. If that doesn't work, try billions of years. Oh, now that'll fix anything. Yeah, billions and billions of years. See, the pacifier that keeps them from crying is time. If that doesn't work, you give more time. You say, how?
So first off, that's just weird. Second off, I don't know why. I mean, I know why he does it, but he really shouldn't conflate people who accept evolution and deep time with atheism. There's nothing atheistic about those things. They're scientific, or they're religiously neutral. Science is religiously neutral.
And actually, there's Christians that accept deep time. I mean, it's not related in that way. And one thing that bugs me a little bit is it's not just time. It's stuff that happens through time and during those billions of years. It's not just time, because he's like, yeah, just give it millions of years and it will happen. Well, yeah, billions of years plus these things that need to happen around, populations and all that for evolution to happen.
Yeah, basically, I'm oversimplifying, but mutations and natural selection.
Exactly.
And to answer Justin, my guest is Horazio. And Horazio, you've debated Kent once, or have you done it more than once?
No, just once. I cannot bear more.
I don't blame you. So you debated Kent, and then I did a review of your debate on my channel. And I guess you saw that and you really liked seeing, the commentary I did and stuff. And then you reached out to me, and then we did a collaboration. And I think this is our second or third.
I think I think third, actually.
Yeah. So that's his background, and yeah, we're gonna continue.
How could an elephant come from an amoeba? Well, over millions of years. We're going to talk about time tonight. There's a biblical answer, how old is the Earth? And there's a so-called scientific answer. We'll get into much of that. And if you email questions to whackanatheist@gmail.com, they'll eventually get into our system here. And Tuesday nights, for a little while at least, we're going to cover some of the scientific indicators. This Earth cannot be billions of years old. And if you take away time, I'm well aware they're going to scream and cry like a little baby, okay? But if I can demonstrate the Earth cannot possibly be billions of years old, the argument's over. Now look, if you went scuba diving and you found a treasure chest full of gold coins, and I asked you the simple question, when did the boat sink? You say, I don't know. Well, let's look at the dates on the coins. Duh. If there's a coin in there from 1750 And another one from 1710 and 1695. The oldest coin doesn't matter as far as the sinking of the boat. The boat had to sink after the last coin was made. Duh. I doubt anybody's going down putting in coins into shipwrecks. Okay.
I think
Let's assume that's
one of the stupidest things to say, because I mean, that analogy does not work. At first glance, it might make or might seem like it makes sense, but it doesn't, because you're not looking at how young things are. You're looking at how old. If anything, an analogy that might work is, when was the boat built? You know, even having younger coins or indicators of younger stuff, that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for how old it is, not how young. And I think that's the key issue. But I think Kent's audience does not go and think about it. It's like, oh yeah, well, he said it kind of makes sense, so I'll stick with that.
Yeah, and his method here is not the right way to do science, because he's not trying to figure out how old something is. He's trying to disprove the fact that the Earth is billions of years old. That's what he's trying to do. His goal is to prove that it's not billions of years old. His goal isn't to simply find out how old the Earth actually is. So he's motivated by a religious bias and a bias to disprove the atheists that he wants to dunk on and say, oh, you believe you came from a rock and I made you look stupid. Ha ha, Hovind. You know?
I recently read an article about this type of thinking, and it mentioned something like, to the trained mind, it doesn't make sense to have an old Earth. And it's like, yeah, for a trained mind that is trained to think that it is young, and that is trained to blindly believe whatever the Bible or any other Christians say. So that's the kind of training that he is so set on, reinforcing and have it all the time in his audience minds.
Reasonable that the youngest coin would be the limiting factor. If you find a dinosaur bone, like this dinosaur toe bone, you'll notice it does not have a date on it. It does not say made by a dinosaur in 70 million BC in Taiwan. They don't say that. So how do you tell the age of these things? Well, if I told you these big ballpoint pens were 5,000 years old, how could you test or refute my claim?
Well, for one thing, we already know how old they are.
Exactly. Most of the time, if you look at the box, it says it was made on this date, on this factory, and all that. So
yeah, that's what I was thinking when I saw this. I don't know about small items like pens, but most of the time, if something is made via injection molding with plastic, it will typically have markings on it that indicate what factory made it and potentially even when it was made. I don't know if it has a date on there, but I know that almost all items that are made by injection molding have markings that tell you what factory it's on, and then you could contact that factory and find out when they made that specific line of production. So this is such a bad example. Kent Hovind is so bad at making analogies. I think he doesn't actually understand what analogies are.
I think he does, actually. I think he doesn't. He purposely makes them bad. And I think I've been thinking about it. I don't think Kent is stupid. I think he's pretty smart. You need to be smart to say such dumb things. You need to be smart to twist reality and to twist words into that narrative. So I think he's not stupid. I think he's just a con artist.
That's a great quote. Yeah, I think you're right. However, he's not interested in learning, and he's not interested in updating his information or admitting that he's wrong and correcting himself. He won't do that. So really, that's the problem. So
yeah,
I think
because
both
that's
things are
not
true.
his goal. I mean, his goal is not to learn or to educate. His goal is to indoctrinate and get money from his audience.
Absolutely.
I'm going to make a claim. These Bic pens are 5,000 years old. Let's test that.
So I think we're going to skip ahead
a
little bit. I am actually, just to make this a little bit easier, I think I'm going to Oh, never mind. I'm trying to download this video, but it's taking forever. So we'll just continue on YouTube, and we're gonna skip ahead to about the 17-minute mark because there's no way that I would like to finish the video today if possible, which is hard. Yesterday, me and Grayson and Mark Reed, we watched an 8-minute video, and the video we made turned out to be longer than an hour. So that's just what happens.
That's when you analyze things, right? And don't just go rambling about stuff.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate level, isn't it? Maximum dumb. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Earth
he's
is
talking
thought to
about
form
himself.
4.6 billion years ago. I see. It began as a hot ball of rock. Oh, here we go, folks. Millions of years of torrential rains created the oceans. Mm-hmm. The Earth started off as
And something that's noteworthy about that, he takes one line from one book, and then one line from another, and then one line from a website. If you do that, nothing's gonna make sense ever. And he's or like, oh, this is science and all that. He goes to pop science magazines and very low level, like junior high science textbooks. So that's why it doesn't make sense to him.
a ball of very, very hot liquid. A few hundred million years after the temperature of the Earth reached 2,000 degrees centigrade, melting point of iron, Earth's core was formed, so it cooled down. Earth formed 4.54 plus 0.00020 billion years ago, approximately 1/3 the age of the universe. I see. Swirling in the waters of these oceans was a bubbling broth of complex chemicals. Progress from a complex chemical soup to a living organism is very slow. Boy, it sure is. It don't even.
So Kent loves to do this. So he totally skips the sentence that says some of them are carbohydrates, proteins, and nucleic acid, the chemicals of life. So instead of telling his audience what is actually in the soup and what these complex chemicals actually are, he just skips over that part and just says, "Oh, it's a soup." And then the soup came alive like chicken noodle soup, chicken noodle Hovind.
And then he cuts to his joke of the Campbell's can, and it's like, dude, you're not even trying.
Even happen. That's how slow it is. Yeah, stopped. Let's see. It's in these oceans 3.5 billion years ago. Scientists believe, there's that magic word, scientists believe, the Earth first living.
I thought Kent said he likes science. So if he likes science, why does he always discredit scientists? That doesn't add up.
Because he likes science, but dislikes scientists.
Living organisms appeared. When we think the planets formed from collisions of space dust and gas rotating around the sun, all that crashing released enormous amounts of energy and heat. I mean, where'd all this heat come from, energy come from to get them moving? Don't ask that question. Okay.
Gravity? That would be gravity,
Yeah.
Kent.
But he admits he doesn't understand it, so.
Well, I mean, I don't think that I have a very scientific understanding of gravity. However, Kent still thinks gravity is a force, which isn't true. But see, that's the problem. He says, "Oh, I don't understand gravity," but he also doesn't make any effort to try and understand it.
Of course not.
That's the problem.
And at some point, Earth was so hot that all the rock melted, and the Earth was a hot ball of melted rock. Didn't Aaron Nelson, calls himself Aaron Ra, the sun god, say Hovind's a liar because we don't believe we came from a rock?
So first off, Aaron doesn't call himself Aaron Ra, the sun god. He's never called himself that. And he was accurate when he said that you're a liar because you say that we came from a rock, because no person, no YouTuber who is an evolutionist, atheist, or Christian theistic evolutionist has ever said, you will not find a clip of them saying, "I think that I have a rock ancestor. I think that I came from a rock." Every single person on YouTube who talks about this says, "We don't believe that, Kent." So he can show, cut out quote mines from textbooks all he wants, but I would like him to show a quote of somebody saying, I actually believe that I had a rock for my ancestor.
Yeah, and I think he doesn't understand the difference of something happening on rock and something happening to rock. Because I don't think it was Kent. I think it was Matt Powell who argued that atheists do believe that rocks reproduce, and it's like, no, it doesn't happen. Like, rocks don't have baby rocks. We know that.
Yeah.
You do, Aaron. You believe you came from a rock, and you make me believe too. The Guardian. How did our planet form? It's astonishing what you can achieve with a bit of gas and dust. All came from gas and dust. Let's see. It all started with a tremendous bang. Somewhere in our galaxy, a star exploded, throwing out masses of gas and dust. So we all began as a hot ball of rock. Rocky planets began to organize themselves. They had a committee meeting and said, okay, Mercury, you go first. Venus, you can go second. Mars, you got to go fourth. Yeah, but I want to be third. No, Earth is going to be third. Okay.
So this is when it starts to become difficult to understand if Kent is making a joke or if he's just being a dick or if he actually thinks that this is what they're saying.
I think Kent cannot stop being a dick. And that's why it's confusing, because he's a dick all the time, and I think it's a joke. I mean, by now, as I was mentioning, I think Kent is more like a bad stand-up routine than actual communication.
Okay. Well, thank you, Papa Emeritus the Fourth, for joining my YouTube channel memberships. Thank you so much. And I love Ghost. It's a great band.
Yeah.
Earth found its path. Yeah, it found its path. They also said they give brain power to a rocky planet.
See, that this is what I'm saying. It's hard to tell because he says, notice how they do this, as if that the first one seemed like a joke, but then here it almost seems like he's being serious.
Yeah.
And the problem is that his audience sees him as an authority figure, and his actual claims are so ridiculous and stupid that it's hard to tell what's a joke and what's him actually being serious, because it's all so bad.
Yeah.
In the early days, rocky pileups were still common, leaving craters on the surface of all the planets. 3.8 billion years ago, the oceans formed. Earth was a hot ball of rock, and it started in the soup. The hot soup was life started right there. A primordial soup. Yep, there it is. Primordial soup, or prebiotic soup, as it's called. Hypothetical set of conditions present on Earth 4.2 to 4 billion years ago. Okay, so we all came from soup. What does primordial soup consist of? You can Google it. Primordial.
You notice how he hasn't given one argument. He's just repeating what he's seeing on screen with an incredulous tone. That's not an argument, dude.
It's not anything.
Yeah.
Like it's just nothing.
It's just you being you.
Being a dick is a full-time job for Kent Hovind.
Primordial soup. Do I have some? Oh, yeah, I got a can of it right there. Okay, good. Don't open it.
Kent, I am about to open a can of whoop ass on you if you don't stop, if you don't cut it out.
It's millions of years old, okay? Life on Earth first.
Millions of years old, okay? Why does he do that? Uh-oh. Oh.
First bloomed 3.7 billion years ago, when the primordial soup somehow sparked into life. Somehow. Just did it. Wow. That's from Live Science. Whoa, peer reviewed. Yeah, you got to believe those guys. The primordial theory.
So I don't think that websites on the internet are peer reviewed, Ken.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I mean, scientific papers that are uploaded on the internet are peer reviewed, but just articles on science websites or blogs, you wouldn't call that peer reviewed, I don't think.
It's just pop science, it's just quoting and, for the masses. Because if me included, I cannot read a full scientific paper because I wouldn't understand a lot of it. So I go to these websites that they, put some nuggets of information there, and then that takes me to another place and so on, but with an attitude of understanding and learning, which is what Ken doesn't have.
Says life began in a pond or ocean as a result of the combination of chemicals of the atmosphere and some form of energy to make amino acids. The first self-replicating systems must have emerged in this organic soup. So according to your theory, 13.772 billion years ago, there was a big bang, and
That is not accurate.
Well, that might have been in the 80s when he started doing this stuff.
Yeah, and he said he started this video. I don't think we showed it, but he does say in the beginning that this is him. This is his Age of the Earth presentation with. This is the updated version of it. I don't know what's updated.
universe was created from a dot smaller than a period. Then, 4.6 billion years ago, Earth formed. It rained on the rocks for millions of years and turned them into soup, and the soup came alive 3 billion years ago. This is the evolution theory. I shared you clearly what the Bible says. God made it all in 6 days, and Adam started right at the beginning. All life was created. That's what the Bible says. You guys want to think all life came from soup. There's Grandpa.
See, that right there is where I have a problem with it, because somebody called Kent out on, if you watch a video that's on my channel called Kent Hovind versus Jerome, I was going to say if you watch the original version of that video, but you can't now because it's been deleted from YouTube along with Kent's whole channel. But that is still, I made a condensed version of that video, and Jerome, that's a great like debate right there. But in the original version, he calls Kent out on this thing about the soup, and or him saying that, you know, we think we came from a rock, and he calls Kent out on saying great grandpa rock, and then Kent basically says that that's a joke, and it's like, well, no, it's not a joke, because yeah, it's a joke, but that still is your claim. So your claim is that if you say great grandpa rock, first of all, that means that you think we had a rock ancestor, and second of all, that means you think that it was way like recent, like grandpa is like a couple like generations, even great grandpa.
Yeah, I've thought about it too, and I think that's one of the main things he does. Like, he tries to bring all those big scale things to small human lifespan things, like saying grandpa, or you know, that your great grandpa was a monkey. It's like, no, at that level it doesn't even have a name. It does, I mean, saying that we are related doesn't mean that we're family in that way, right? It doesn't mean that they had sex and then something was born and then something was born and then we're here. Those deep time concepts cannot be applied in our, you know, limited short time human minds and lifespans, and that's where I think he gets lost, but I think he uses that to his advantage.
So this is the kind of stuff that I think I resent having this taught as science in schools, okay? I believe all the dogs probably had a common ancestor, and it was a dog. But you believe all the dogs came from a rock, don't you? Slowly, of course, slowly, with billions of years. So who did Adam's sons marry? Fair question.
Where did that come from?
Quite a transition, right?
Days of Adam after he begat Seth were 800 years, and he begat sons and daughters. How many kids could you have in 800 years? And see, one every 9 months and 20 minutes.
So you are implying that it's okay to have sex with your wife 20 minutes after she gives birth?
That's what I was just thinking.
No. I mean, I guess if she's into it, but like that would be toe up. So
yeah, there's been something there's something that I have been thinking recently. I don't know if this is a good time to bring it up, but
go ahead.
Something that I've been thinking is, what makes more sense? All of these things being mythology, because I mean, we know humans create mythology, right? So what makes more sense for these 800 years and, having thousands of kids? It makes more sense as mythology than as a real history. And on the other hand, I think it was Snake was right. I heard him say on an old debate, like, this does not negate, or believing in evolution does not negate a God. And even in his words, in Kant's words, like, he says he gives glory to God. I think a God that is able and smart enough to create a system where life changes and adapts and basically doesn't need anything additional to just flourish and be great. I think that's a better God and a more worthy of praise and glory than a God that's just like, okay, I create two guys or one guy and a girl, and then they eat a fruit, so fuck it, everything's gonna die now. And then couple of thousand years later, he's like, no, I'm pissed off at everyone, and I regret creating all these things, so I'm gonna flood the earth, and all the animals that didn't do anything wrong, they need to die too. And now, like with the flood, the animals that live in water, they wouldn't have died because they're on water. So it does not mean that it killed everything, right? It killed everything on land. So why not also kill the, fish and whales and sharks? That doesn't make sense. It has all the hallmarks of mythology created by goat herders in the Iron Age, with their level of understanding of the world. And it's nice. I mean, I don't say that in a bad way, like, oh, goat herders, fuck them, they don't know anything, they're stupid. But they were trying to make sense of what they saw at that time, and it has all the signs of being just that, just their interpretation of what they see.
Yeah, I've been talking with somebody named Nick, who was actually used to be at DAL and used to edit Ken Hovind's videos. And to his credit, he's been willing to have conversations with me about the Big Bang and about science. And he still believes in the Bible and the flood. And what I was telling him is that I think that the people who wrote the flood myth, they lived in the Iraqi floodplain, and at that time, for them, that was the entire earth being flooded because that was their whole world. They had no concept of how big the earth really was because they didn't have planes or satellites or any way to travel that far. So on their level of comprehension, that was effectively the entire world being flooded, and they wrote about that. But that's why you see at the same time people in like China are still alive living through that,
Exactly. And out of all of the books in the Bible that you can take literally or figuratively, Genesis is the worst to take literally because it literally makes no sense. I think it makes more sense, like the Odyssey and those like Greek mythologies than Genesis.
Absolutely. All right, let's continue.
800 divided by, I can do the math, okay? Times 12 divided by 9 and 20 minutes, okay. Jim Bob Duggar, a good friend of mine, 19 kids in 23 years. Pretty good. Randall, did you give me the guy's phone number? The guy that came and bought the Jeep, he married one of the Duggar daughters, right? I want to talk to the guy. I want to get Jim Bob to come down here for our boot camp. I think that'd be cool. He picked me up at the airport when I got out of prison. So who did Adam's sons marry? Well, they married sisters. First place, there's no other choice, okay? Secondly, no one would think it was wrong. They had the whole world, Who would you report them to?
So I just want to point out how messed up I think it is that Kent Hovind, in one breath, talks about the Duggar family. And we all know what Josh Duggar did with his sister, and then immediately starts arguing for the morality of people marrying their own sister. I just think that that's messed up. Like,
Your other brother that married his sister? Huh? Come on, who are you going to report him to? There were no laws against it till 2,500 years later when God gave the law to Moses. You can't marry close kin. There was no need for it because there was no genetic deformities, no genetic load. Not a problem, okay? Adam married his own rib, Anyway,
Okay.
so all this time adds up to about 6,000 years or 4,000 BC. Now, if you really look at the chart,
So I have another problem with this. So you have where Seth is placed. How do you know the year that Seth was born? So you know how long Seth lived, and I'm willing to be corrected on this, but does the Bible say like what year specifically Seth was born and when, like, well, I guess this is since these are all sons, I guess that does make sense, right? Because if Seth is the son of Adam and he lived 130 years, then okay.
I think
Fair
he
enough.
says that on the Bible. It says that when Adam was 130, he had Seth, or
Okay.
something like that.
It's just this chart is laid out in a way that is terrible. Like it just visually, it's very cluttered and it's just not easy for me to understand. You know?
and it's a stupid thing. So also, because I was just actually thinking, like, according to this, some ancestors of Noah outlived the flood, or they were killed by the flood. It doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Adam lived long enough to meet Noah's daddy.
His sugar daddy?
It's creepy when a grown man says daddy. I don't like it.
Can you imagine family reunions in those days? Everybody hop on the camel. We're going to go visit great grandpa Adam. And he's going to tell us what it was like in the garden before the first woman ate the first man out of house and home.
I hate women. Over.
Misogynistic Kent.
Yeah.
Or whatever happened back then. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, we can go on all day about the different things from the Bible. I love this
And
stuff.
it's funny
Let's just look
how
at
he's
a
the
few
only one that
of the indicators.
Sorry.
It's funny how it's just him who laughs at that joke. At this
Yeah.
point, not even his minions laugh at his jokes.
Yeah, and he did a Whack an Atheist about Seth Andrews, where he said that Seth Andrews laughing at his own jokes, that means that you have mental problems if you laugh at your own jokes. So he's just a hypocrite. Like, I go back and watch my old videos sometimes, and I laugh at my own jokes. I mean, I'm hilarious, you know, so. Okay. I had the video open another tab, that's why. Look at SpongeBob in the background. SpongeBob has seen some shit, man. Like he's like catatonic.
That's on PST right there.
Yeah.
And Big Bad Mama King Crimson Live is amazing. I've seen them too. It's great.
Oh, that's awesome.
That the Earth cannot be billions of years old. Origin of major writing systems. Where did writing develop? According to National Pornographic, in 1999, they did an article and said writing developed in several different places. The Egyptians did it, the Chinese. When? When did forms of writing begin? In the Indus Valley, 2800 to 1900 BC. Wait. 5,000 years ago, writing began? But man's been here for millions of years?
I think this is one of the new arguments, because I haven't heard him say that, and it's just super bad.
Yeah, this is so dumb. Like, yeah, human beings, modern humans were only around, within like X 100,000 or millions of years. And yeah, it took a very, very long time for writing to develop, even for speech to develop, because that's an incredibly advanced thing that takes a lot of brain power. So it wasn't until we were much farther along in our evolution that we could even be able to communicate verbally and then even develop systems of writing. So yeah, it took a long time. Humans didn't show up and then immediately have all the intelligence that they have today, like Adam and Eve. Like, that's so childish to think that way.
And not just intelligence, like intelligence, tools, and the need to communicate in that way. Because if you go then to cave paintings, those are old, and those are ways of communication. That's what they had available at that time.
Exactly.
Never had to get a message to anybody for millions of years. 3,200 is.
there are forms of nonverbal communication. Like, have you ever seen a SWAT team? How they communicate with hand gestures? Like, hunter-gatherers would have done the same thing because they couldn't communicate. They're not going to communicate with writing, and they don't want to make noise because they're hunting prey and they're going to scare it off. So there are lots of ways to communicate non-verbally, Kent, you moron.
75 AD, Mesopotamian cuneiform. The first developed systems of word writing appeared.
Cuneiform. I'm sorry, but that just bothered me. It's cuneiform. Kentneiform.
Only about 5,000 years ago. The oldest language that can be reasonably reconstructed is already modern. So the oldest languages already were modern. They already had nouns, verbs, adverbs, adjectives. It wasn't just grunts and groans and give me that banana, that's my banana. No. Huh? Oldest language already. Interesting. That's G.G. Simpson, a famous.
So I could not find this quote anywhere online except for creationist websites, which is usually a red flag when that happens.
Yeah, definitely. And he tends to do that. Like, he just takes stuff that only creationists say and present it like it's science or that it's the truth.
Oh, we have Grayson in the chat. Hello, Grayson. That was fun recording that video yesterday. That was a lot of fun. And I just have to take a second to say thank you. I don't know if he's in the chat, but some old dude, how incredibly generous. The guy bought 5 people channel memberships, and he sent probably at least $50 in super chats yesterday. So just
wow,
if
that
you're
was
watching,
great.
if you're watching, thank you so much to some old dude. That was a really fun stream. Kyle Butt.
Evolutionist. The year 2000 was 4,700 on the Chinese calendar. They might have started with the birth of Shem or Noah. So that would have been before the flood. But why is the Chinese calendar start? Why is it not the year 40 million on the Chinese calendar?
Because there were no Chinese.
We'll fit right into the Bible teaching.
There was no China. It's like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, 40 million? What? we're not. What? Like, if anything, does he think that the calendar should be like 4 billion years old because that's how old we think the Earth is? Like, if these are your new updated arguments, Kent, throw them in the trash.
Exactly. That's why I wanted to react to this video, because it's like, just stick to the old stuff, please.
Yeah, the golden oldies, the golden Hovies.
If they had Shem or Noah as the one they think Shem is the founder of their civilization. The Chinese do. He might be. And Shem was born 100 years before the flood. Oldest recorded example of capital punishment. 18th century BC, 3,800 years ago. Nobody was bad enough for the people to get together and kill them until 3,800 years ago.
The oldest recorded example.
Yeah.
That's the key term, Kent. Also, I love using the History Channel as a source. Very scientific. Very scientific. Was this on Ancient Aliens that you saw this, Kent?
Maybe the price, like history. I don't know. Pawn Shop Stars, I think it's called.
Yeah, Pawn Stars. Did Chum Lee find the oldest recorded example?
Well, that sounds Chinese. So maybe that's where he got the Chinese thing.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is the first recorded example of capital punishment. Let me check with my capital punishment expert. The best I can do is $200. For this priceless relic.
Oldest Arabian towns around the Mediterranean, the first millennium, first 1,000 years before Christ. Now hold it. So 3,000 years ago, people finally figured out, we should build a town and protect ourselves from the wild animals. Took them a long time to figure that out, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, because society doesn't just develop instantly. So
they were nomads.
you had nomads, you had hunter-gatherers, you had people who lived in caves for a long time. And, humans weren't a social species in the way that we are now and the way that they developed to be at first. They didn't realize at first that banding together could help them. So, of course, towns didn't just form instantly. You would have had small families that would have kept close-knit groups, but they would have probably seen other humans as enemies because they would be probably stealing resources from each other, or stealing animals that they've hunted. They would be closely guarding the things that they had. It wouldn't be until later that they developed towns, because that's a totally alien concept from the earliest humans. So it's just ridiculous. He expects humans to, I guess, come on the scene and then immediately have modern writing, towns, society, also farming and agriculture. We're going to see that too. So it's just ridiculous. This is the first recorded example. That doesn't mean this is when it first started. It's so stupid.
Yeah. It just shows his bias, because since he's understanding and the Bible says that everything just poofed out mature enough and the way we see it now, then he assumes that other theories and other ideologies stayed the same. And he does not understand the difference between his mythology and his storytelling, or the Bible storytelling, and actual science and actually how things happened.
Towns developed much earlier, slightly before 2000 BC. 4,000 years ago. Bible says the flood was 4,400 years ago. Looks like that fits right in with the Bible. Why don't you guys have a town from, 2 million years ago? 5 million.
I mean, maybe it got destroyed like Sodom and Gomorrah. Towns get destroyed, Kent. Okay, we have a super chat from Pterodactyl Hunter for $5. It says, "I love you, AJ." So thank you so much, Pterodactyl Hunter.
They had advanced degree of agriculture, engineering, and civilization developed. What? The towns in
What? Hovind?
2000 BC are remarkable, last line, remarkable not only for their age, but for the advanced degree of agricultural engineering the civilization developed. The inhabitants built some of the world's first agricultural terraces, and later developed an excellent system of dams to use floods from mountain valleys. Hold it. In 2000 BC, 4,000 years ago, people already were figuring out how to do farming, how to build terrace gardens. Why not 50,000 years ago, guys? Terraced agriculture in Yemen probably began 4,000 to 5,000 years ago. The two towns the team excavated are got some names there, 2250 BC and 1500 BC. Fits right into the Bible dates. The oldest known culture using agriculture, less than 5,000 years old. Why? Nobody figured out, boy, if I take a seed off this strawberry and stick it in the ground, it grows a new strawberry. Whoa. Nobody.
Whoa. That sounds so obvious to us, but I don't think it's that obvious. Agriculture as a system, I don't think it is something that early humans would be just like, yeah, let's do that. Let's bring some oxes to, plow the earth and have windmills. And it takes time. And hunter-gatherers and nomads, they didn't know agriculture.
Yeah, and plus he's totally oversimplifying what agriculture is.
Yeah.
So it's not just planting a seed in the ground. The definition of agriculture says the science or practice of farming, including cultivation of the soil for the growing of crops and the rearing of animals to provide food, wool, and other products. And agriculture encompasses crop and livestock production, aquaculture, fisheries, and forestry for food and non-food products. Agriculture was the key development in the rise of sedentary human civilization, whereby farming of domesticated species created food surpluses that enabled people to live in towns and cities. So it's much more than just, I took a seed off of a strawberry and planted it. From Ian Chen Official, we have a super chat for $7.99 Australian. It says, "It looks like April 5 is my next debate with Rocky Kent, Rock Hard Kent. I hope to see you all there." Well, yeah, I'll definitely be watching that. So
We'll be there, yeah. And just to close the comment, I think what he's doing right now is looking for the younger coins. To go back to his analogy, he's not trying to see how old is the earth, but trying to find younger things to say, why not 4 million, dude? Because it doesn't have the universe is in no obligation to make sense to you.
They figured that out, did they? Our year 2000 was on the year 5760 on the Hebrew calendar. The Jewish calendar is from the work of some rabbi. 164 years was left out purposely on his calendar, so it would not make Jesus look like the Messiah. The Saxons in England had a genealogy going back to Adam. The Danes in the Norwegian king list go back to Noah. The Egyptian king list are greatly exaggerated, as are seen by Corville's research. But you can get do we sell that book, Randall, the Evolution Handbook? That's big old fat book. It's a good one. So why are the oldest reliable historical records less than 6,000 years old? Well, it's pretty simple. I got a theory about that. About 6,000 years ago, God made everything. 4,400 years ago, there was a flood. So the oldest historical records being, that age are not a problem. I think it fits the Bible. Population of the world, 6 billion in 1999. 5 billion in 1985. In 1800, just 200 years ago, there was only 1 billion people in the world. 1 billion people in 1810. Population growth rate from the United Nations population prospects back in 2004. Looks to me like 1,000 years ago, there weren't too many people here in the world. World population growth through history. Went through the Stone Age. So look at that to the far left there. We got 7,000 BC, but for 2 to 5 million years, none of the humans figured out how to make babies.
Kent, so the scale on the right says billions of people. So that one represents 1 billion. And
I think this is the worst argument, and this is what made me go, seriously, go back to your old shit.
Go back to the golden Hovish.
Like, it's not like they didn't know how to make babies. Like he says, it's like you said earlier, you don't know if he's making a joke or he's being serious and bringing up an argument, quote unquote. Like, there was a huge death rate on the Stone Age and like million of years ago. Like, there were predators and disease and a lot of things that were lethal to humans and other species that we don't have now because we have technology and science, which Kent doesn't like.
I have seen some really stupid people figure that out. Like really stupid people, haven't you?
Yeah. How many kids does Kent have? That's an example.
Yeah. What do you mean you've seen them figure it out? Like, what does that mean?
In porn. Kent porn.
Okay.
Animals figure it out. Yeah.
Oh.
So they want us to believe the population growth rate was nothing for millions of years. And all of a sudden, poof, they figured out, oh, that's how you make babies. I see. Okay.
Also, citation needed, dude.
Yeah. There's nothing. I don't think Kent understands how graphs work or how scales work.
Or even how the internet works. It's always made me laugh. Like, he's accessed 3/25/2019. That doesn't mean that's when it was published. It just means when you saw it.
Yeah, I think he puts that there just because it makes him butthurt when people say that all of his slides are out of date and old. So he's like, well, I accessed this today, Hovind.
Guys, the population of the earth shows clearly man has not been here for millions of years. It's just not common sense. Look at the way they stretch this time.
Nobody's making that claim. We're talking about modern humans, Homo sapiens sapiens. No one is saying that humans have existed, modern humans have existed for billions of years. Moron.
Timeline out. First modern humans, 160,000 BC. And then you go clear up to 7,000 BC, and all of a sudden it starts growing. And right about 4,000 BC, there's a bump and it goes back down. Oh, you think maybe there was a flood that killed a bunch of people? Talk about the world being overcrowded. No, the world's not overcrowded. The whole world's population today, 7 billion people, would fit inside Jacksonville, Florida. That one city has 25 billion square feet. So 7 billion people, everybody'd get about, 3.5 square feet? That's less crowded than an elevator. 7.44 billion people in Jacksonville would each get 3.28 square feet. Less crowded than an elevator. Huh. They say the world's overcrowded. I say, really? Have you driven across Kansas?
30,000 people a day starve to death. So it's not about the physical amount of land in square feet. It's about the amount of resources.
Exactly. And you cannot like have crops on every single square feet of the earth, and water, and basic hygiene services. It's just so stupid.
Yeah, a human being takes up much more space than just the space of their body, because we all need a place to live. We all require plumbing and, like you said, lots of space to grow crops and food, roads, infrastructure, hospitals, so much more than just the individual square footage. And of course, like in reality, I think that there's enough food on the earth that we shouldn't have so many people starving to death or living in hunger, but we do. And that's what I think people are talking about when they say the world is overpopulated, because we're stretching the limits of our natural resources and things like medicine, healthcare, hospitals, education, to the point where not everybody gets the things that they need. And so there's a lot of inequality in the world, which is really unfortunate. But Kent lives in a first world country. So this is a statement that really comes from a lot of privilege, I think. And it's just ignorant.
Just a dick. Kent being Kent.
Yeah, Kent the tip. And we have almost 100 people watching. So thank you to the people watching. Thank you to the people in the side chat. Thanks for hanging out with me and Horazio. We're almost done. We're going to power through this video. We've got about 3 minutes left.
Or Nebraska, or New Mexico, or Arizona. Vivica, you just took a bus trip here for about...
Have you seen Bangladesh or Tokyo or
Mexico
China?
City?
Yeah.
The last 8 days. The world's not overcrowded. Did you see it? Some of the cities are, but there's a whole lot of places. Go to Texas. You can go for 3 days driving across Texas. Oh, you're still in Texas? Yeah. Go to South Dakota.
Kent, stay far away from Texas. Don't even talk about it, okay?
You think it's overcrowded, or Wyoming? The world's not overcrowded. Stop lying. If it's overcrowded where you are, it's very simple. Move. Come to Lennox. Is it overcrowded here?
So simple.
Okay.
Yeah, again, this is just a statement of pure privilege and ignorance. Not everybody has the capability to move, Kent, you fucking moron.
We had a car drive by yesterday. Did you see it?
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah, you missed it. Okay. Human population at the time of Jesus Christ was 1/4 billion people. Now, this growth rate, if it was projected for a long time, like thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, there'd be 150,000 people per square inch. You evolutionists are absolutely nuts. The current rate of world population growth is 1.7 annually. Doesn't sound like much. Population growth rate, where it's charted backwards, at a slower growth rate, only 0.5%, less than a third of the actual percent, the result would be a handful of people alive 4,500 years ago. Encyclopedia Britannica says the whole population could have started with a handful of people 4,500 years ago.
I don't think Encyclopedia Britannica states that. I would need to check upon that, but it's stupid. Like, you cannot take today's growth rate and then just, go back in time and apply the same rate. There's a lot of factors to take into consideration.
Yeah, lifespans have increased a lot because of medicine and indoor plumbing and vaccines. I know Kent wouldn't like to admit that, but you can't just apply a rate with the same number going backwards or forwards. It's idiotic. And how are we defining handful of people? That's not a scientific or like that's not like a term that means anything. What is a handful of people? Yeah.
Just like 8 people getting off a Noah's Ark would have done. I don't know how you can't get it. I really don't. You so badly want to not understand God made the world. There are all kinds of indicators that.
I just love how happy he looks at himself and how proud, like, yeah, I nailed this. It's like, no.
Yeah, he's extremely pleased with himself.
The earth cannot be billions of years old. The oil pressure is still found in the earth. Why is it under pressure still? It should have dissipated. The spin of the earth is slowing down. I cover a bunch of these on my video number 1. That's enough for tonight. Next week, we'll get a few more. You guys, I know you have to have millions of years for your theory to look reasonable. You got to have it. I know. I'm sorry. You can't have it. You can't have millions of years. I want you to come up with a theory of how everything got like it is in less than 6,000 years. I have a theory. God made the world. He made it perfect. Noah took 2 of each kind on the ark. And so those 2 dogs getting off the ark had puppies, and they had kids and grandkids and great-grandkids, and they probably developed into the wolf, coyote, and dog.
What? So wolves developed from dogs?
According to Kant, yeah. I mean, all the evidence that says otherwise doesn't matter. The fact that we know for a fact that dogs came from wolves, that doesn't make sense to Kant. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay, dude.
Over 4,500 years. That I can believe. But you want to get a dog from a rock? I can't believe that. Can't take questions, Randall. We can from the audience here, but sorry. YouTube is just, not YouTube. Our internet is just, we're not able to get it yet. We're working on it. Randall claims he's working on it. I'm not sure what he's really doing in there. Yeah. Daria, is he really working in there?
Yeah. I'm keeping him on task.
You'll keep him on task.
Yeah.
Okay. I got a small ball bat in my house. If you want to borrow it, keep him going.
What the fuck?
and he has the nerve to say DAL is not a cult.
Yeah, I don't like the way he talks about his staff. It's very very rude.
I think he thinks he's making a joke, but I think it speaks volumes of how he views his staff and other people in general.
Well, thank you so much, Horazio, for suffering through this video with me. Yeah, we made it, and now we have 101 people watching. So thank you so much to the people watching, the people who've sent super chats. And is there any final comment you would like to make before we sign off?
Just thank everyone for watching. Thank you, AJ, for having me. I know you have been talking to me about making a channel and all that. I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't have what it takes to be a YouTuber. To be honest, I don't think I do, anyways. But anytime that you are gracious enough to have me, I'll be more than glad to collab.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, if that's how you feel comfortable, I'd be more than happy to collab with you again. And I mentioned it in my video yesterday, but my channel just it's now at 7,500 subscribers. So thank you so much to the people who have subbed and joined the channel memberships. And I see during the stream, I just got a new patron on my Patreon. So the channel just keeps growing, and I just want to say thank you so much to the people who let me do this. I think it's the greatest job in the world. And for $5 from Pterodactyl Hunter, it just says Randall. I'm not sure what that means, but thank you. Thank you, Pterodactyl Hunter. Thank you so much. And so we are going to be signing off, and I'll just see you guys in the next video. Oh, we have one more from Sebastian. Any news on his assault on his wife? Kent is a damaged individual. No, I haven't heard anything. Last I heard, Kent is, they're still, we're still waiting for another trial date because Kent just keeps appealing at the verdict. I don't think we're going to see much of anything happen in that case. Unfortunately, this is how the justice system is. But if I do hear something, you guys will be the first to know. So, yeah. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll just see you guys in the next video. Oh, we have one more from Brandon Connell for $1.99. It says, "You're awesome. Keep doing what you're doing." Thank you, Brandon.
What a great community you have, man.
I'm trying to end the video,
awesome.
and you guys won't let me. Okay, for real this time.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.